Hello, and welcome to this video that focuses on the iPhone and iPad camera and photos apps. It's part of BoomerTech Adventures course entitled Hidden Gems Lurking in Your iPhone and iPad. By the way, if this video generates an interest in learning more about your iPhone or iPad's camera and photo apps, you should check out BoomerTech Adventures' other courses that take a close look at both. One is entitled Taking Awesome Pictures with Your iPhone, iPad Camera, and the other is Fantastic Photo Finishes. Organize and edit images with your iPhone, iPad Photos app. All right, let's get started with our topic for today. Now, as I've said in every video, you really ought to be working with your iPhone and iPad as we go through this video, because I think you'll want to try a couple things out. Here's what we're going to look at. Focus and exposure, things we can do with live photos, how to hide a photo, and how to tag family and friends in a photo in the Photos app. So let's start with the camera app. We're going to make sure that everybody understands that you have control over the focus and exposure when you are taking a picture. Let's talk about setting the focus first. All of our pictures, when we open the camera app, there is something called autofocus. And what it's trying to do is find the middle distance. Now, as a result, sometimes the image is not as sharp as it might be. So when you open your camera app and you have it pointed at a particular setting or person, look for the yellow box. In the image to the right, do you see the yellow box? It's pretty light. It's not a bright yellow, but it's there. And you will notice that it's right smack dab in the middle of the image. So when you're taking your pictures, you want to think about what is it that you really want in focus. And you're going to tap your finger on that object on the screen that you wish to be the sharpest. The yellow box will move with your finger. Now, for example, in this image, I have the yellow box, and you see I've doubled it. I've put a brighter yellow box around what would appear when I open my camera app. And I have it focused right on this little water fountain that is spurting water up into the sky. Well, probably not the sky, up into the air. And at this point, I have it focused right on the little fountain itself. If I wanted to focus on the water droplets, I would tap the water droplets up there near the top. Or if I wanted to focus on something in the backyard, I would have tapped my finger there. But what I'd like you to notice is because I have the box focused on the foreground, the background, it's not totally out of focus, but it's a little fuzzy. And again, I want to emphasize the box will move, that yellow focus box will move wherever you tap the screen. You don't slide across the screen, you simply tap on the part of the image you want to be in the sharpest focus. Here's an example. Now, this is a lakeside view, and I had the yellow box right in the center of the foliage. And you can see that it is pretty sharp. But notice that the foliage in the background and the foliage in the foreground is a little fuzzy. I could change that focus if I wanted. So it's fun to play around with, and you have to remind yourself to take the time to move that focus box where you want it. Now, the other cool thing about your camera app is that you can control the exposure. So if you have your camera app open and you've tapped the screen, you'll see the yellow box, and next to it, notice there's a slider. Just move your finger up and down and you will see that the exposure changes. Here's an example. Here is a kind of droopy coleus plant, and I didn't change the light on any of these pictures. I just used the exposure bar. So on the left, you see I had it way up, and so there's way too much light. The middle one is probably an okay exposure, but obvious the plant needs some water. And then the image on the right, I had slid my finger down the bar until I obviously had an underexposed picture. Now, I always tell this story from one of my students in my adult ed class. We were talking about the exposure, and she related how she and a group of her friends had gone to New York City for a girls' weekend. And they were coming home, and they were in Grand Central Station, and they were trying to get a selfie of their group. And it was just too dark, and they're trying, and they couldn't figure it out. And this very nice woman stops and explains to them how they can regulate the exposure. And she showed them, and they did, and they asked her if she would take the picture, and she very politely declined. Well, as she was walking away, they realized she was the famous photographer, Annie Leibovitz. Just kind of a cool story. I'll show you one of my pictures where using the focus and the exposure bar made a difference. Now, this was taken up in the San Juan Islands in Puget Sound in Washington State, and there were these spectacular sunsets, and it was very hazy because there were forest fires up in British Columbia, and the smoke and the smog was coming down. But the picture on the left was the first picture I took, and it did not come anywhere near capturing the colors I was seeing. So for once I had a brainstorm, and I said, I wonder what will happen if I put the focus box right on the sun, which is what I did. And then I played with the exposure a little bit. And the result is the picture on the right, which although it still hasn't quite got what I remember in my mind, it is still a much more vibrant picture than the one on the left. So even while you're taking the picture, you can play around with the focus and the exposure to get the very best image possible. All right, let's move on to the Photos app. Lots of fun here. Did you know that you can create little videos from your pictures? Let me show you what I'm talking about. In order to make these little videos, you have to use what's called live photos. And you might be saying, well, I don't understand what you mean by live photos. How do I find them? It's very easy to find them. So right now we're looking at my iPhone, and I've opened my Photos app. And you notice that there's a menu down the bottom. It says Library for You, Album, Search. So I've tapped on Album, which means all my albums are listed. So once I have albums open, I need to scroll quite a ways down till I find live photos, and it's in the media types. So I'm going to tap on live photos, and I'm going to choose an image. Here's the image. It's of water coming out of a pipe. Now, The first thing is, if I gently swipe my finger upward on that picture, with iOS 14, I can now put a caption on this photo, which is pretty cool. And then right under that, you see it's below or under the black arrow, it says effects. And we're going to get there in just a minute, but I want to show you what it looks like on an iPad. So the iPad Photos app looks a little different now, a little different from the iPhone. And the menu is no longer at the bottom like the iPhone, but it's on the side. Do you see that box in the upper left-hand corner? It's got two columns in it. The black arrow is pointing at it. That's what you want to tap in order to see your menu. Once you do that, you can scroll through. You'll see all sorts of general topics, but you will get down to media types. And once again, you need to tap on Live Photos and choose a picture. Okay, what is a live photo? A live photo is actually, believe it or not, a mini video. It shows the context in which the picture has been taken. Well, how does it do that? Well, there is a still frame when you touch the shutter, but there is a quick video before it and after it. And that actually, the videos begin filming even before you do the shutter release. It's 1.5 seconds before and 1.5 seconds after. So I don't know if you've ever opened a photo in your Photos app and sort of shook your head and said, did that move? And indeed, if it was a live photo, it did. When do you want to use live photos? Well, it's when there's some kind of movement, a gurgling brook or wagging tail, or maybe kids playing, little toddlers playing. Now you can turn off and turn on live photo in settings, or when you open your camera app and you look up at the top, you will see concentric circles. If you tap it, it will turn yellow, and that means live photo is on. And if you tap it again, it will go gray, and it means live photo is off. Now, it's not a big deal if you just leave it on all the time. I always forget that I have the option to turn off live photo. Again, it's not a big deal. If you're looking for live photos in your Photos app, they will be labeled, and you see the arrow pointing to the word live. So let's take a look at these special effects called bounce, loop, and long exposure. Now, you need to take a live photo or use a live photo, and you go to the Photos app and you select that image. And you slowly again sweep up on the image, and you will see this row of effects. It will say live, then loop, then bounce, then long exposure. Well, what do all those things mean? A loop simply repeats the mini video. It goes over and over and over again, just for, 2 or 3 seconds. Bounce is fun. It has the video going forward, and then it reverses it, and then forward and reverses it. I'm going to show you a quick video that demonstrates. So I have a live photo. You can see it there. It's highlighted in blue. Those are buffalo in the Yellowstone National Park region. All right, you can see that's on loop. He keeps the little step forward. It keeps getting repeated and repeated. Now I'm going to move down, and I'm going to switch to bounce. There we go. Okay, forward and back, forward and back. He's doing a little dance for us. It's really kind of fun. Now, the third version is long exposure. And this is when all the frames in the little mini videos plus your straight photo are combined. And it's wonderful when you're using your camera app to take pictures of waterfalls or, huge waves on the sea or the waves bouncing up against the rocks or rivers, any kind of moving water at all. The long exposure is a lot of fun. Now again, you don't take a long exposure when you're actually touching your shutter. You have to do it from the Photos app and it will create this image for you. Here's an example. On the left is my original live photo. And you can see that, well, you can't see the pipe, but that's water shooting out of a pipe and it's been very cold, so a lot of it is frozen. But you can see the individual droplets. When I went to the Photos app and went to the special effects there, I chose long exposure. And so you can see those water droplets no longer are individual, but they have been combined into a smooth flow. Again, you can have fun with this, whether you are talking about a bounce or a loop or a long exposure. You can text these to other people or use them in slideshows. Lots of possibilities. All right, moving from the live photo, I'd like to share with you how you hide photos. Lots of times we hand our phone or iPad to someone and say, well, just go through those pictures and you'll see pictures from my vacation, or you'll see pictures of the grandkids, or you'll see pictures of the dinner we went to. But there might be some pictures that you don't necessarily want anybody else to see. That's up to you, and we won't get into what might be in them. But anyway, you can hide photos. I'm going to show you two ways. The first is you tap on your image that you want to hide. Now again, you're in the Photos app, so you select your image. Then you look for that share button. And remember, the share button is the square with the arrow pointing up. When you tap on the share button, you have all sorts of options. Most of us don't get beyond the fact that we can send it in a text or we can email it. You can see that right across the top there. It says airdrop, messages, mail, notes, etc. Most people don't ever bother to scroll up. And you see you've got all these other options, which include hide. So if you tap hide, this is what happens. A dialog box will pop up over the picture. And notice it says, this photo will be hidden, but can be found in the hidden album. You can choose to show or hide the hidden album in settings. And so then you can choose to tap on hide photo or cancel. So what do they mean by a hidden album? All right, so on the image on the left, we're in the Photos app, and we have scrolled down till we found utilities, and we're in the albums, and one of them says hidden, and you see that there is one hidden picture. So if somebody is really clever, they can find your hidden pictures if you haven't changed things in settings. If you, on the other hand, go to settings, and again, that main screen with your name up at the top, and you scroll down to, you see your Photos app, you tap on it, and you see you have the option for hidden album. And when it's turned on, the hidden album will appear in the Albums tab. If it's not turned on, it won't. So you can always go back and retrieve the picture by going to that hidden album. Now, if you really want to hide your picture and you want to make sure nobody ever finds it, you can put it in your Notes app because you can lock individual notes. And only you can get to them because you know the password. So how do you set this up? Well, once again, you got to go to settings, that main screen with your name up at the top, and you're going to scroll down till you see the Notes app and you see the icon there. And you're going to tap on Notes. And when you do, you'll notice that one of your options is password. And if you turn that on, you will create a password. And as I said, you can lock individual notes. So only you can see them unless you share the password. Well, how does it work? Okay. So I've opened up my Notes app, and I have, because I use Notes app a lot, I've got a whole list of things, but I'm going to start a new note, and I do that with the square and the pencil down at the bottom. So I'm going to start a new note, and when I do, and I tap in the box up at the top, you can see where the cursor is under the word Notes. My keyboard will appear, and at the top of the keyboard there is a camera icon. If I tap on that, you can see it says choose photo or video, and if I click there, that will take me to my Photos app. It opens the Photos app. So once my Photos app is open, I navigate through till I find the picture that I want to hide, and I tap on it. And you can see that I have selected the picture right in the middle, and there's a blue circle with a white check mark. Now what I have to do, I have to remember to tap on Add. So I'm going to do that. And then the picture has now been embedded in one of my notes. I'm not done yet though. Do you see the circle with the 3 dots? As I've mentioned in a variety of videos, 3 dots always means more options. So we're going to tap that, and up will pop this dialog box. And you see I've got a variety of options. But one of them is to lock the note. And so I tap on that. And neither I or anybody else can open this note without putting in the password. So that's a pretty fail-proof way to hide a picture that you don't want to share with anybody. Now let's move on from hiding pictures to identifying and tagging people in your Photos app. So what you have to do, of course, first is to select a photo that has a person in it, or you can have multiple people. So you select a photo, and you're going to gently put your finger on the image and slide up. And if it has people in it, the faces will appear in circles. So if there's multiple people, a small group, not a crowd, but a small group, the faces will appear. And so you tap on the face you want to tag, the face you want to name. So you tap on the face, a new screen appears, and at the top it says Add Name. Well, tap Add Name. Once again, a new screen appears, and you see at the top it says Add a name for this person. And the keyboard appears, and you type in the name next to that picture that you have selected. Don't forget to tap Next. If you do, all your hard work's been lost. The face has now been identified, and again, you have to remember to tap Done. If you forget to tap Done, again, all this tagging won't have done any good. Then, when you're looking for pictures of grandma or your sister or one of your kids or a friend, if you go to the search option, which you see is down in the bottom menu, you can type in that person's name, and all the photos that resemble this person will pop up and you can find the one you want. The face recognition software is really pretty sophisticated. In fact, another story from Adult Ed, a woman was telling us how she had come across an old family picture of her aunt when her aunt was a young girl. And she had scanned it in and saved it to her photos. And when she did a search on her aunt, even though she hadn't tagged this particular old photograph, it popped up. And that was because the face recognition software was able to pick up the features and identify this little girl as her adult aunt. Pretty cool. All right, we're about finished with this video. Couple of big ideas I'd like to leave you with. Number one, get in the habit to take time to adjust your focus and exposure. These cameras in the iPhones especially and the newer iPads are really pretty amazing. And you can take stunning photos, especially when you take the time to think about your composition and then what you want to focus on and play with the exposure. Enjoy and have fun with live photo and the special effects. And take the time to tag family and friends in the Photos app so you can easily find them. Again, I'd like to remind you, as I do at the end of every video, there are 9 additional videos which we hope will help you uncover some new things about your iPhone and your iPad that you didn't know. I want to thank you for watching this video. This has been Jill from BoomerTech Adventures, and I invite you to visit us on Facebook. We have a page. You just have to search BoomerTech Adventures in Facebook, and we hope that you will click on the like button and the follow us so that you are able to see all our new posts. And then if you find that learning through videos is really helpful, I encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have over 80 videos focused on iPhones and iPads and Macintosh desktop and laptop computers. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.